It was supposed to be a fun night out. 5 friends, a basketball game, some snacks for the road home. But somewhere between Chico and Yuba City, on the night of February 24th, 1978, 5 young men vanished into the Sierra Nevada mountains. 4 would be found dead months later. 1 was never found at all. And nearly 50 years on, no one truly knows what happened. This is the story of the Yuba County Five, one of California's most baffling and heartbreaking unsolved cold cases. To understand what happened that night, you first need to understand who these men were. Yuba City and nearby Marysville, California. Early 1978. 5 young men, all in their mid to late 20s, each living at home with their parents, each dealing with mild intellectual disabilities or mental health conditions, and each one deeply connected to the others. There was Jack Madruga, age 30, the group's driver, quiet and dependable. Ted Weir, 32, gentle, kind, someone his family described as always willing to help others. Bill Sterling, 29, caring and deeply religious. Jackie Hewitt, 24, the youngest of the group. And Gary Mathias, 25, a U.S. Army veteran who had battled serious mental illness. But by 1978, he was considered a remarkable recovery success by his own doctors. Their families called them simply the boys. And what the boys loved most was sports. They played basketball together on a team called the Gateway Gators, supported by a local program for people with disabilities. They were passionate fans. They showed up. They had each other's backs. February 25th, 1978, was a big day for them. Their team, the Gateway Gators, was scheduled to compete in a Special Olympics tournament. The winner would get a free week in Los Angeles. Some of the boys had already laid out their uniforms the night before. Gary had asked his mother not to let him oversleep. They were excited. But first, the night before the tournament, February 24th, the UC Davis basketball team was playing an away game at Chico State, about 50 miles north. The boys decided to go cheer them on. Jack Madruga drove, his turquoise and white 1969 Mercury Montego, a car he was famously protective of. All 5 piled in wearing only light coats. It was a cool February night in the Sacramento Valley, not severe weather. The drive was routine. The game ended with UC Davis winning. Afterward, the group drove a short distance to Bears Market in downtown Chico, stopping just before 10 p.m. closing time. They bought snacks, candy, sodas, cartons of chocolate milk. The store clerk later remembered them because their late arrival delayed her from closing up. A witness saw them drive off, headed in the direction of Yuba City. That should have been a simple 1-hour drive home. They never made it. The next morning, their parents noticed the boys hadn't come home. For men who still lived at home, this was immediately alarming. Jack Madruga's mother called the police. The search for the Yuba County Five began. Police searched the logical route. Nothing. No sign of the Mercury. No sign of the boys. Then, a few days later, a breakthrough of the most confusing kind. A Plumas National Forest ranger reported that on the morning of February 25th, he'd seen a turquoise Mercury Montego parked along Oroville Quincy Road, deep in the forest. He'd thought nothing of it. People parked there in winter for cross-country skiing. But after reading the missing persons bulletin, he made the connection. On February 28th, police followed the ranger to the location. There it was, Madruga's car, partially stuck in a snowdrift at an elevation of 4,400 feet on a remote mountain road, 70 miles in the wrong direction from home. What investigators found when they examined the car deepened the mystery enormously. Inside, empty wrappers from the snacks bought at Bears Market, basketball game programs, and a neatly folded road map of California, evidence the boys had been in the car after the game. But here's where things get strange. The car was in working order. When police hotwired it, the engine started immediately. The fuel tank was a quarter full. The snowdrifts weren't deep. 5 healthy men could have easily pushed it free. And yet, no keys, windows rolled down, doors unlocked. Nothing like Madruga's usual careful treatment of his car. And then, the undercarriage. Police examined the bottom of the car. Despite driving miles up a rough, bumpy mountain dirt road at night, there wasn't a single scrape, gouge, or mud mark, not even on the low-hanging muffler. Either the driver was extraordinarily careful, or someone who knew the road very well was behind the wheel. Madruga's own family said he had never even been to the mountains. A man named Joseph Shones came forward later. He told police a story that either sheds critical light on what happened that night or raises more questions than it answers. Shones, from Sacramento, had driven up to Oroville-Quincy Road the same night, February 24th, to check snow levels. He too got stuck in the snow. And then he began experiencing chest pains, the early symptoms of a heart attack. He kept the engine running. Around 11:30 p.m., roughly an hour and a half after the boys left Bears Market, Shones noticed headlights behind him. He described a group of people around a car. He thought he could make out a woman holding a baby. He called out for help. The group went silent and turned off the headlights. Later, he saw flashlight beams in the dark. Again, they went out when he called. Eventually, his car ran out of fuel in the early hours. In enough pain to barely walk, Shones made it 8 miles down the road. On the way, he passed the abandoned Montego, parked exactly where he had seen the group of people. Doctors confirmed his heart attack, but investigators found no evidence of a woman or baby. And Weiher's mother said it wouldn't have been like her son to ignore a cry for help. So what does the Shones account tell us? Was he truly seeing the Yuba County Five refusing to help a stranger? Behaving out of character? Was he hallucinating from pain and cold? Or was there someone else out there that night, with the boys, making sure they didn't call out? Months passed. Search efforts had been repeatedly halted by brutal winter weather. The case went cold. The families held on. Then, on June 4th, 1978, a group of motorcyclists came across a United States Forest Service trailer camp. The door was slightly open. A window was broken. Something was wrong. When they looked inside, they found a body on a bed, wrapped tightly in 8 sheets. The body was identified as Ted Weir. He was 32 years old. He had been wearing the same clothes from February 24th. His beard had grown long. He had lost somewhere between 80 and 100 pounds. He had lived in that trailer for an estimated 8 to 13 weeks. His feet were severely frostbitten. 5 toes had been lost to gangrene. His leather shoes were missing. And next to the bed, his ring and wallet. A gold watch with a missing crystal that didn't belong to any of the 5 men. And then, what may be the most haunting detail. The trailer contained matches, furniture, and books that could have been burned for warmth. An external propane tank with fuel still in it. A storage shed nearby with food. And yet, none of it had been touched. Ted Weir never once lit a fire, never used the propane. As Lieutenant Lance Ayers said, all they had to do was turn on that gas. The trailer was 19.4 miles from where the car was abandoned, on foot, uphill, through deep snow, in light coats and casual shoes, in February. In the days following, the others were found. The skeletal remains of Jack Madruga, Bill Sterling, and Jackie Hewitt were located in the surrounding area. Jack's father found his remains. Investigators believe Hewitt may have been in the trailer with Weiher when he died, and then, confused and terrified, fled into the wilderness. Gary Mathias, the 5th man, the Army veteran, was never found. Not a bone, not a piece of clothing, nothing, except his shoes. His shoes were in the trailer with Ted Weir. The discovery of the bodies answered nothing. It only multiplied the questions. Why did 5 men who had no reason to go into the mountains drive 70 miles out of their way, up a dark mountain road in winter? None of them had ever been there. Madruga hated cold weather. Sterling had been once and refused to return. How did they walk 20 miles, in light clothing, at night, without any of them turning around or going back to the car? Why did Ted Weir survive and use none of the fuel? Why didn't he walk back down when the snow melted? Were they being watched? Their families believed someone forced them up that road. Jack Madruga's mother told reporters, there was some force that made them go up there. They wouldn't have fled like a bunch of quail. Over the decades, several theories have been proposed. Theory 1. Gary Mathias. Some believe he experienced a break that night and led the group into the mountains. However, author Tony Wright found no evidence Mathias was behaving strangely at the game. Theory 2. They were followed. Some believe the group encountered hostile individuals, possibly in the parking lot or on the road. The Shones witness account, however flawed, suggests someone else was present that night. Ignoring his cries was out of character. Theory 3. A detour gone wrong. Gary Mathias had friends in Forbestown. It's possible he wanted to stop to see them. One wrong turn could have taken them up. A snowcat had cleared the trail the day before. They may have followed the tracks to safety. Theory 4. The investigation itself failed them. 3 separate sheriff's departments, Yuba, Butte, and Plumas, controlled pieces of the case, with no single agency owning it. If info about the trailer had reached the right desk, searchers could have reached them while alive. For decades, this was misadventure. 5 vulnerable men who got lost. Then, in October 2020, an internal memo changed everything. It read, "Gary Mathias is believed to be a victim of foul play. This case remains open as a missing person/homicide case." No new physical evidence was released. No arrests have been made. The case remains officially open and officially unsolved. The families of all 5 men, the Wyers, Madrugas, Sterlings, Hewitts, and Mathiases, have carried this weight for half a century. Researcher Tony Wright put it, "For 47 years, you have had whole families carrying the weight of not knowing. We have no closure." The Yuba County Five were not statistics. They were Ted, Jack, Bill, Jackie, and Gary. 5 friends who loved basketball, who cheered for their team, who bought chocolate milk for the ride home, and who never made it back. One is still out there. If you have any information about the Yuba County Five, please contact the Yuba County Sheriff's Office at 530-749-7777. This has been Your Channel Name. If this case moved you, subscribe and share, and let's make sure the world doesn't forget them. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. They are meant to be remembered. I'm your narrator, signing off.